In the summer of 1826, Robert Schumann's domestic stability collapsed. Within a single month, his father, a publisher and novelist, died, and his older sister Emily committed suicide. Pressured by his mother to secure a financial future, he relocated to Leipzig to study law. He was 18, an orphan of the state, and technically a ward of his father's executors. Schumann's interest in the law was non-existent. He spent his time in local salons and concert halls, a trajectory that became irreversible after he witnessed the explosive virtuosity of Niccolò Paganini. He soon informed his family he was abandoning the law for a career as a pianist. His intellectual world was dominated by the novelist Jean-Paul Richter, an author whose work prioritized subjective emotion and the juxtaposition of opposites. Jean-Paul's writing, particularly the novel Flegeljahr, centered on the friction between twins, the introverted Walt and the aggressive Walt. For Schumann, these characters provided a framework for mapping his own internal emotional states onto art. By the time he reached 20, the foundational traumas of his youth had converged with a literary obsession with the split self. His early biography and his aesthetic model were now moving in the same direction. In 1832, Schumann's ambitions as a performer were interrupted. He reported a persistent numbness and loss of motor control in the middle finger of his right hand, describing it as a disorder that defied standard treatment. One theory suggests the injury was mechanical. Schumann utilized a chiroplast, a rigid finger-strengthening splint, against his teacher's advice. The device likely caused severe tendinitis. A competing diagnosis identifies the numbness as a symptom of early-stage syphilis. In the 1830s, the standard treatment was mercury, a heavy metal that could cause localized nerve damage and the exact lightning pains Schumann recorded in his diaries. Whether the cause was a mechanical splint or chemical neurotoxicity, the outcome was the same. The functional paralysis was permanent. This physical failure forced a pivot. Since he could no longer interpret music with his hands, he began to channel his preoccupation with internal division into a complex, programmatic musical language. In his 1835 piano cycle, Carnival, Schumann began embedding specific autobiographical data directly into the musical notation. He structured the work around a set of 3 brief notations titled sphinxes. These sequences are not intended to be performed. Instead, they serve as the thematic raw material for the entire composition. The mechanism relies on German musical notation, where specific pitches translate directly to letters. For example, the note E-flat is spoken as S, or the letter S. This allowed him to generate the cipher ASCH, the name of the town where his fiancée at the time, Ernestine von Fricken, resided. By rearranging these notes, E-flat, C, B, A, he produced the cipher SCHA. It was a way to weave the musical letters of his own name, Schumann, into the foundation of the piece. Through this cryptographic system, Schumann effectively mapped physical geography and his own signature onto an otherwise abstract musical score. This interest in hidden identities extended to his role as a critic. He founded an imaginary society called the Davidsbündler, or League of David, to combat the Philistine or mediocre musical standards of the public. He reviewed music through the lens of 2 primary alter egos. Florestan was the persona of his impetuous, fiery side, a critical voice that was often passionate and subjective. His counterpart was Eusebius, the dreamer. Eusebius provided an introspective, lyrical, and delicate perspective on the same works Florestan attacked. By consciously fracturing his critical voice into these personas, Schumann was able to process the extremes of his own temperament and present a multifaceted analysis of music that felt both personal and authoritative. These systems of identity were soon tested by a real-world legal crisis. Schumann sought to marry Clara Wieck, a world-famous child prodigy whose career was controlled by her father, Friedrich Wieck. Friedrich Wieck's opposition was rooted in financial preservation. Clara's concert earnings were his primary source of income and essentially served as his retirement account. When Robert and Clara sued for the right to marry, Wieck utilized the Saxon Court of Appeals to launch a legal assault on Schumann's profile. In his official testimony, Wieck accused Schumann of chronic alcoholism, professional incompetence, and squandering his inheritance. He went further, characterizing Schumann as unmanly, childish, and a mediocre composer whose music was impossible to perform. As the trial escalated, Wieck broke into Clara's locked letterbox and submitted her private correspondence to the court as evidence against the couple. The court finally ruled in July 1840. Schumann had successfully leveraged character references from the Leipzig Town Council to prove his social and financial fitness, winning the right to marry. The release of this legal pressure coincided with a massive creative surge. In 1840, Schumann composed roughly 140 songs, the Liederjahr, a prolific output that channeled the energy of his victory. Surviving this confrontation validated the systems he had built. He had converted his frantic, nervous energy into his most productive period as a composer. In 1853, a 20-year-old Johannes Brahms arrived at the Schumann home. Robert immediately recognized the young man's talent. Schumann hailed Brahms as the heir to Beethoven in a widely read journal article. This public endorsement secured Brahms's reputation and established a lifelong bond between him and Clara that would prove critical in the years to follow. By 1854, Schumann's psychiatric health collapsed rapidly. He reported auditory hallucinations, where angelic voices morphed into what he described as the bestial noise of tigers and hyenas. On February 27, 1854, Schumann attempted suicide by throwing himself into the freezing Rhine River. He was rescued by local fishermen. The fragmented personas and literary shadows of his youth were no longer contained within his music. They had completely overtaken his physical reality. Schumann was admitted to an asylum at Endenich. For his own protection, he was isolated from Clara for 2 years, only seeing her for the last 2 days of his life. Modern analysis debated 2 primary causes: a congenital manic-depressive disorder versus the tertiary stage of neurosyphilis. Clinical evidence points increasingly toward general paresis of the insane, or neurosyphilis. His symptoms, wavering cognitive decline, extreme physical wasting, and brain softening noted in his autopsy, are characteristic of the disease. His final days were marked by severe muscular paresis and a total loss of speech. He died on July 29, 1856. Schumann's legacy remains centered on the durability of his musical architecture. He had successfully engineered his psychological fractures and physical limitations into a highly coded, immortal language.